Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make the Bohemian Gemstone chip wire wrapped hoop earrings that match the Bohemian Bangles that I did a tutorial on a few weeks ago. So if you didn't see the tutorial for the Bohemian Bangles, I will leave a link down there below the video. So these hoop earrings are very easy to make, just like the bangles, but actually I feel like these are even more easier to make because with the bangles I had to do 2 wires in order to make the clasp. So here you can see I have 2 wires, but with the earrings I just did 1 because all I needed was 1 wire for the base. By the way, I have been seeing your pictures of the bangles you have made on my Facebook page and on Instagram, and it's been really cool seeing everybody's bracelets, and I could tell that a lot of you are just as addicted as I am to making these bangles, so I think that you're really gonna love the hoop earrings. So here's the list of materials you will need to make Bohemian hoop earrings. You will need to cut 2 5-inch lengths of 16 gauge or 18 gauge wire for your hoops. Now here's the thing. These hoops here, I used 16 gauge aluminum wire for the base, and I did the same on the copper one here. Now for the gold, I had wanted to make, matching earrings to go with my bangles. I didn't have 16 gauge wire. I had 18, but the 18 gauge wire was really hard. It's a hard wire, so I ended up using 18 gauge and it worked just great. Now I don't think the 18 gauge would have worked so good on the aluminum because it is a softer metal, so I really do recommend that you use 16 gauge if you're going to use aluminum wire to make these hoop earrings. This one here I used 16 gauge as my base, worked great. Okay, so you have 2 different size options there. Now for the wrapping wire, you're going to need a 20 gauge wire or a 24 gauge wire. Now here's the thing, if you're using 16 gauge wire for your hoop base, you're going to want to use 20 gauge wire. But if you're using 18 gauge wire for your hoop base, you're going to want to use a smaller gauge wire for wrapping. You're going to want to use 24. And I'm going to have notes about all the different sizes of wire you can use together down there below the video, so make sure you check that out. And you're also going to need gemstone chip beads, and I've used some from this box here. This is from Craft. I will have a link for these beads down there below the video, and I will also have links for the wire that I've used. You'll see this in all different sizes on their site. And there's another wire that I've been using from Craft that I absolutely love. It's this one here, which is actually the same name brand of the aluminum wire, but this you get a gigantic spool. There's a ton of wire in here. Anyways, this here is my favorite metal color to work with. It's beautiful. It's called Antique Bronze. I've also seen this color called Antique Brass. I have this in another name brand, and I have to say that I like this name brand more because I feel like it's more true to the Antique Brass Bronze color. And by the way, this is a copper base, so it's very easy to work with, and it is permanently colored wire. So I will have a link for this wire and the aluminum wire down there below the video, and you're going to see it on their site in all different sizes. Here are the tools you will need to make your hoop earrings. You will need a wooden bracelet mandrel, which is this right here. I also use this mandrel to make my bangles. I use the larger ends here to form the bangles, but to form the hoops you will be using the smaller end here. You're also going to need a nylon hammer, which is right here, and by the way, I got the bracelet mandrel and the nylon hammer from Craft. It was a 2-pack kind of deal, and they were very affordable. I want to say, it's been some time, I want to say it was about 20 bucks for both of them. But like I said, it's been some time, so I'm not totally sure on the price. But anyways, I will go and find them, and I will put a link for them down there below the video. And just in case, if you already have one of these wooden bracelet mandrels and you need the hammer, you could just buy the hammer at their site, and they also sell the bracelet mandrel separate. So if you already have one of them, you don't have to buy a pack, them together. You can buy them separately. You're also going to need a nylon jaw plier. Now if you're using aluminum wire, you really don't have to use the nylon plier because this is so soft you can really form the wire with your hands, but if you're using copper wire you have to have these nylon jaw pliers. And by the way, you can also get these on Craft. You will also need a flush cutter right here. You're going to need chain nose pliers, and I actually love these chain nose pliers the most. These are also from BB Craft, and I think they sold out of them the last I checked, but I'll check again. They have a really small, they're bent nose as you can see, they have a really small head here, which makes it really easy for me to get in here and shape the coil so that it looks nice. So I'll go and see if they have them in stock, and I will link them below if they still do. And you're also going to need round nose pliers and a bail making plier. Now this is kind of optional. I use the bail making plier to form the ear wire right here. If you don't have this, you can get away with doing the round nose pliers for that part, but because I want mine to be exactly the same shape and size, I use the bail making pliers. You might be able to get away with using a pencil or pen though for that part there. You'll see when I go to do that in the tutorial. And the last thing you're going to need is a ruler, and that's it. So I have my nylon jaw pliers, and I'm straightening out my 16 gauge copper wire, and I like to straighten it out on the spool because it's just so much easier to do it this way. And you want to turn your wire, you know, grab it from different angles and pull it out so that it's straight. So before I cut this wire, I do want to give you guys a couple of tips. To keep my wire from coming off the spool, I like to use hair ties. Another thing I like to do to keep them from coming off are these little paper clips or bulldog clips. These also work really great to keep the wire from coming off. But this wire here, it is so strong and stiff, it started to unravel on me, and I thought it was going to poke my eye out, and I was actually starting to freak out and was trying to stop it. It was going so fast. So I just put a hair tie in here. And here is the other one. This is just a regular hair tie I put on this one to keep it from coming off, but that's just a few tips I have for you. And another thing I have to tell you guys, and I forgot to tell you at the beginning, and I wish I remembered, but at least the video isn't over. So if you have allergies to metals and you can't wear a lot of earrings because you're allergic to copper and sterling silver and, you know, nickel, whatever, use stainless steel, right there it is, stainless steel wire for the ear wire in your hoops. So this one here I did with aluminum, and I realized I should do a stainless steel wire here for the top, because mostly aluminum was really soft, so I put the stainless steel wire up there because of that. And then I realized, well, these are going to be great for people that are allergic to metal. And you can also do it on the other colors. And don't worry, because this here is copper and you're going to have silver up there, because I see earrings all the time that have a stainless steel post and the rest of the earring is like a gold hoop. It's for allergic problems. So that's an idea for you if you are allergic to metals, or you know somebody that's allergic to metals. Use stainless steel wire for the ear wire. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my 5 inches of wire here. It looks pretty straight. Actually, I need to flush cut this end because I see that it's not straight. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut exactly 5 inches. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure this is right because I was moving around there. Yes, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is take my round nose pliers, and I have to grab this at the very tip and on the very tip of my pliers, because I need this to be a very small loop right there. See how small it is? I need it to be as small as possible. So I grab it right here, okay, and I bend it into a loop. It's a little hard at first, especially because the wire's so thick. And then I do like to change it, like I was going like that, but I like to flip it like this and wrap it the rest of the way. Okay, just like that. And then I hold it just like this, and I bend that wire straight. Okay, so I have this end done, and now I have to do the same thing to this side, but what I like to do, I have this one curled this way, so I want this loop to be curled the opposite way, but you have to make sure that your loops are going in the same direction. So see how it's flat, so I have to make sure that my loop on this end is going to be flat. You know what I mean? Because you don't want one loop flat and then one going up. That makes no sense. So I'm going to curl my loop in the opposite direction. Okay. So, see right there. And if it is a little off, that's okay. We could fix it. There we go. And I also like to use this part of the plier to close it down some, because it really helps. Okay, now I have to make that bend. If you put your finger on the top, it helps a lot. There we go. Okay, so now I have to put this on my bracelet mandrel. So do you see how the loops are going in the same direction? This one's curling this way, this one's curling this way, but what I mean by the same direction is, see how straight across, they're both flat. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, bracelet mandrel time. Alright, now I'm going to form this on my mandrel, and I just go like this, trying to keep my loops flat. Now, because this copper wire is stiffer, I am going to have a little bit of a time trying to get my shape just right. See how it opens up? So I will have to force it more with my hands to close it more and try to keep that round shape. So now what I have to do is hammer my ear wire. So I normally put this mandrel on my lap and hammer it, but for filming purposes, I'm going to try to hammer it like this. Hopefully it works. So I like to hold the wire flat against the mandrel as I hammer it with the nylon side, and I slowly turn this. And this is work hardening the wire. It's not marring it because we're using a nylon hammer, and it's just going to make this strong for us. So I go all around this several times, work hardening it. Alright, so I continued hammering it, and this is what we have. And as you can see, this is open because the wire is strong. It doesn't want to close like this one, so we have to make it do that, and I'm going to show you how. So next thing you want to do is take and bend your... Oh no, I just pulled a piece of... Oh, I just put a hole in my mat, darn it. Okay, that stinks. I'm going to grab the loop right here, and I'm going to bend it up just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, so now I have to make it shaped like this. In order to do that, I have to use my hands. So you want to use your fingers, your fingernails, just like this. You got to have fingernails, you know, if you're going to be making jewelry. You have to have them because it's like the most important tool that I have learned. So see how it's coming together right here? This is curved a little bit too much, so I'm going to fix that. And you just want to adjust it with your fingers. It's looking pretty close. Sometimes I also find if you bypass the loops like that, look at that. Now, sometimes I do think that I turn these, bend these too much, and might have to bend them back. And then I realize, well, this is kind of oblong, so maybe I don't. Maybe I just need to push this down like that. This is too much. But anyways, you just want to fidget with it, really, and try to get it right. It's pretty close. I feel like the curve is too strong on this side. If you feel like you bent it too much out of shape, you can put it back on the mandrel and hammer it a little bit more. I think maybe I bent this one too much, so I'm gonna bend that back a little bit. Yes, I'll do the same thing to this side. Okay, looks good, and now I'm ready to do the wire wrapping, which is the best part and the most fun. So I already went ahead and I picked up my gemstone chips, and because I'm trying to match my bangles, I have 3 different colors in each hoop, and just like when I did the bangles, I told you guys how when you go to pick out your gemstone chips, you want to make sure that you pick out gemstone chips that have the holes that are kind of centered in the bead. You don't want to get the hole too close to the edge of the bead because the bead will break. It's gemstones, and they kind of do break easily if the hole is next to the edge of the bead. And also, you don't want to use gemstone chips that are super thin. So looking at this bangle here, you can see that just about all the chips I used, the holes are centered in the beads, so make sure you look for good gemstone chips so they don't break on you. And also, I've realized that every time I make this hoop, it seems to be exactly 14 gemstone chip beads that you will need. So I went ahead and I just laid my beads out here around my hoop so you guys can see. There's 14. This is going to be my pattern. So now I just have to string my beads onto my wire, and I'm good to go. And I do like to start with the green bead first, because I think I have 5 green. I have 5 pink, and then I have 4 brown. So that's how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and string this, and I'll come back and show you how to wrap. As you can see, I strung my beads on the pattern I wanted. I'm just going to slide these down the wire, and I'm going to go kind of far down the wire, and I'll bring the beads up one at a time as I need them when I make my wraps. Now, just like in the bangle tutorial, I told you guys how you want to make sure that you wrap your bangles the same direction every time so that your bangles match each other, right? Because if you're making a set of them, you want them to be all wrapped in the same direction. So this one here is already made. So looking back at it, I could tell that I started wrapping like this. So I have to go like this when I make my wraps, okay? So I'm going to take my pliers, and I'm going to grab about an inch down, maybe like 1.25 inches, maybe even 1.5 inches, and I'm going to bend my wire like this, okay? And then I'm going to put my hoop on here, and I'm going to bend my wire around. Okay? And to get a tight wrap, I like to grab both of my chain nose on each end, and I pull it like this so that it's tight, because if it's too loose, you're going to be really slipping around there. And I'm going to wrap this around, and I think I wrapped this around like 5 or 6 times. And as you go, you'll see gaps, so you will constantly have to go back and push your wires together. Okay, so I'm just going to keep wrapping my tail here. You can also come in here and grab the coils like this, squeeze it, and I think I'm going to do 6 wraps. Then I'll trim my tail off. I need to slide this up. Okay, I'm going to wrap around the back, because I like to cut my wire on the back side so it's not seen. And sometimes it does come to the front, but it's not a huge deal. Okay, trim it. And then if you have a wire sticking up, you want to go back in and squeeze that wire down so nobody gets poked. And let's see, I'm not wearing my glasses, forgot to put them on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull that up. I do have like 5 or 6 in this one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, okay. So I actually need to undo this wrap here. Okay, right there. That's where I need to be. So I do have a little kink right here, or a bend, so I'm just going to come in here and straighten this out. Now if you bent up your wire a lot while you were doing this, on the end you will want to go back to your pliers. Mine's not too bad. See, it's just a little wavy, but you can go back to your nylon gel pliers and straighten this wire out. just like that, so your beads slide really easily down your wire. Make sure that this is pushed up as high as it can go till it stops. And it looks like my cut is coming around my tail there. Okay. Make sure my coils are tight. Now I'm ready to add the beads. Now, just like with the bangle, you want to study your bead. Every bead's going to be different because they're gemstone chips. This one here is pretty small, so I'm not going to have to come out really far. So if this was like a really big, chunky bead, I would have to probably come out to here and make my bend, but since the one I'm using is so tiny, I'll probably have to bend it right here at a 90-degree angle if you can. It's a little tricky, especially with the very first gemstone chip like that. Okay, slide the bead up. Now if this does not fit, you can adjust it, and you will have to flip your bead all around to find the best side. Looks like this side is going to be the best side. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it at an angle like this, rest the bead on top of my hoop wire, okay, and I'm going to wrap my first wrap. Hold it like this between your fingers if you can. Bring the wire in between the loops there. And again, fingernails are great for this. It's the most important tool. Going around. I'm going to make 3 wraps like I did on the bangles. I have to do it one more time. Okay. So looking back, you can see I have some gaps here. That's where these pliers come in at. Squeeze the gaps together. Flip it over, do this side. Now sometimes, moving all around, this here will slip down the hoop, so you will have to push it back up. Mine is not actually doing it. And you might also have problems with your hoop coming apart some. Don't worry about that. You can readjust it. But if it if it stretches out like this, you're having problems. You do want to keep these close together as you're wrapping. Don't let them like go really far apart as you're wrapping, because it's not going to be pretty. You'll have to start over. Okay, let's see what the next bead looks like so we know how far to bend our wire. So this one here, I don't have to bend it that much. It is a large one, but it is close to the side. So I'm thinking right here. I'll make my 90-degree bend. I'll bring my bead down, and you want to see what side looks the best. I think it's going to be this side, so then you want to turn this at an angle like that. Hold the bead like this and the wire between your fingers, and take your wire and wrap it around the hoop. It's one wrap, 2. Like after the second gemstone chip, it gets really fast. I'm able to make these pretty fast after the second one. Squeeze those wires together. And there we go. It's so pretty. It's looking great. Okay, bring the next bead down. And I could see that I don't have to move too far down the wire to make my bend. Probably here will do. Okay, slide the bead down. Whenever I slide the bead down, by the way, I do want to get the thinnest part of the gemstone chip to the wire. Okay, so I think that's probably going to be best. Or maybe I should go this direction because of the bead in front of it. Yeah, I'm going to go this direction because of how it's touching this one. I don't want it to touch that one. So again, go at an angle like this. Hold the gemstone and your hoop together straight and make your wrap. Wrap 3 times. And I always like to use my fingernails to slide the loops up. And if you feel like you need to stop and readjust with your pliers, you could totally do that. That's my third wrap right there. Okay, and I do have some spacing, so I just come in here with my pliers, straighten this out. Okay, so now I have my first 3 colors on. Now I'm going to go for my next bead, and again I have to look at this to see where I have to bend my wire at, so I don't have to move too far down the wire with this one because I do see it is thin. I am kind of running out of gemstone chips because I've used so many of these in my bangles, so it was kind of hard for me to find the center of some of the gemstone chips. There I am. The dog wants me to let her out, so I'm going to have to stop. Come back. Make a wrap 3 times. Again, go back to the pliers and pull your wires together like this. Now there is a neat little trick at the end I really want to show you guys. When you get down to the end, oops, you might notice a couple problems, and I'll show you how to fix them. So do you see right now how close these wires are, my coils? See how close they are? I don't want them that close, so I'm going to take my pliers, keep them close just like this, put it in the gap, okay? You're going to want to hold your tool like this with your middle finger in between, and you want to spread those apart. See that? You might have to flip it over and do it to this side. You want to make sure that these wires here are all touching. Same with this side. But you need a gap in between them. Just like that. I'm still going, and again, every time you go to get a new bead, before you make the bend, you have to look at the bead and see what kind of a bend you need to make. This one is pretty much centered in, the hole is centered in the bead, so I do have to come kind of far out right there, as you can see, to make my bend. And I just wanted to go a little bit further with you guys, just in case if you have any problems, like how I showed you how the coils were touching, you can get out of them. Okay, this looks good. Sliding this down. Again, hold this between your fingers. Sorry if I'm getting out of frame. I'm kind of in an awkward position filming this today. That's what it looks like so far. One wrap. 2. This is the third one. Take your pliers, bring these together. And you might have to adjust a lot of these coils at the very end, and I'll show you and talk to you about that when you get to the end, because sometimes I found on these hoops I had to adjust them some at the end in order to get it to work. And the thing I really tried to pay attention to is that my gemstone chips stayed on the top of the wire here, because sometimes they want to go to the side. So if you have that problem, you can just bend them and get them to where you need them to lay at. So see, now they're more on the side. And of course you want to make sure that you don't have a gap there. Make sure this is slid up. If this is slid down some, you can grab your wire like this and then pull that up so there's no gap there. So I'm just going to keep going doing this, and I'm going to fast forward through me doing it. It shouldn't take long at all, and it's actually pretty fast once you get going. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, this is what I have. I have one bead left. Now every hoop I've made needed 14, I think it was 14, is that what I said earlier? 14 beads? Anyways, if you look, I really don't have room for a 14th bead right now. But I know that it's supposed to be 14 because when I look at this and I compare it to all the other ones, what I have to do to fix this problem is I have to scrunch my coils together so I can get that 14th bead in. Now, you might have it differently. Maybe you've gone all the way around and you're finished like right here on your 14th bead and you have all this space. That means your coils are too close. So if your coils are too close, you would then have to go in like I showed you earlier, how you put your you close these, put your middle finger in a plier like this, because you're using this to open the pliers, okay? Put this between the beads, and then you go like this, open it up. But for me, my coils are too close. So to fix that problem, first of all, I see there's a big gap here, so I'm going to move this coil over by doing that. Okay, sometimes it doesn't want to go. As you can see, it's kind of resisting, so I'm probably going to have to pull these two together in order to make it slide up. So basically you're just going to have to do some adjusting so you can get 14 beads in. Okay, you can also go like this and push your coils together. So I'm just going to go ahead, do some adjusting, try to make room for my 14th bead. You can also bring your coils closer together by grabbing the wire here. I talked about this earlier, but in case you forgot, grab the wire here and you can pull your coils down by going like this. In some spots, you can see right here, I can actually grab it here and push the coils down this direction. Okay, so I think I have enough space now, so I'm going to go ahead and add my last bead, which is a small one. Let's see. I'm going to bend my wire right here. Now I still might have to adjust it more. I don't know until I get my bead in and I make the rest of my wraps. So here's my last bead. Flip it around, try to find the good side. Okay, that's the side I want. Make my wrap. Now, this is my very last wrap, so I have to make, I think it was 6 wraps. Isn't that what I did? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, okay. Sometimes I did 5 wraps, 5 or 6, it depends on the hoop. So I have to double check. I have 4. I have to do 2 more. I'm probably going to have to stop and tighten this. Okay, there's 5. I need 1 more wrap. And now I'm going to cut my wire. And I'm flush cutting, so remember you have to have this flat side here. Just like that, so your cut is clean. Then you want to bend this wire down, because see how it's sticking out. I'm going to go ahead and flush cut this wire here, and then I'm going to measure out 1 inch of wire. Exactly 1 inch. And cut that. Okay. And then I'm going to take and flush cut this. And then I'm going to put this wire beside this wire. Make sure that it is even. Okay. And then I'm going to cut a second piece that's 1 inch long, and I just use the wire I already cut to make it the same exact length. Just like that. Now I have 2 wires, okay? This is going to be our ear wires. And I make these at the same time so that they are the same exact shape. Now if you want, you can make them individually if it's easier for you, or if you don't have bail making pliers. You might be able to do this on a pencil though, if you don't have bail making pliers. So these are my bail making pliers. This is the one that I use for making ear wires, this side here. I forgot which one this is. I have 5 of these. There's 5 in the set. I think this is the 3rd one. I think it's the middle size one. So I'm going to take and make a wire loop on these first. So you want to grab the very end of the wire right there at the very tip of your round nose pliers, and you make a wrap loop. Well, it's not a wrapped loop, it's just a regular loop, just like that, just like we did earlier when we made the hoop. Okay, then you want to put your plier back in there and go like this. Okay, and you want to make sure it's shut, and I actually like to go like that because I feel like the inside of the pliers really closes it for me. And I'm gonna make another one. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I am still sick with a cold and allergies. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Just like that. Turn the pliers around. I want to make sure that these are going in the same direction. Okay, so I have open side here in my right. I'll have the open side of this one also in my right. I'm going to grab the wire with, what's it? I think it's this part. Yes, it's this part. So I want this to be in, so it has to be like this actually. Okay, so see that right there? I want it to be like that. And again, I want the opening to be on both sides, and I need to bring these down, all the way down. Okay, slide them down in between. Make sure that this is pushed up against the pliers like that, in the hinge, that's what it's called. Okay, and then bend your wire like this. Okay, like this. This is to keep them straight. The last time I didn't do this, it was a nightmare. I had to redo it. Okay, and then I'm going to bend my wires up. And as I'm bending them up, I'm also pushing the chain nose pliers down so that I don't lose my curve. Now, I don't want to take them off yet. I want to see what this looks like, because I might have to bend them more. And I do. They're not turned up enough. Okay, so get this back into position. I'm going to bend them more. And what do we have now? Yes, that's it. They might be turned up a little bit too far, but that's okay. I can adjust it more. Now I'm ready to put them onto the hoops. I can try them on, see what it's like. If I need to, I can bend them down some. But they're pretty much the same exact shape and size. So coming in with the chain nose pliers. If you want, by the way, you can work hardiness. My bench block is currently buried in a box behind my lamp, and it's just too much to get to. And I think these are going to be fine anyways. I'm not worried about doing it, but if you feel like you need to, you can go ahead and do it. I'm just going to twist the loop open. I wanted the green stone to be on the front, where my face is at. Putting this on. Closing it shut. Now, I tried to make sure that this little loop we made was so tiny so that it hugged the hoop. See how small this is around that loop there? I want it to be like that, because if it's too big, it's not going to be easy to put on. And these are a little challenging to put on, by the way, because of that. I actually think that if I can get this loop to be as tight as I can on that loop there, that it would probably be just right. So then you just go like that. You might have to close these down more. Is this the one I just made? I don't know. Okay, there we go. So go ahead and try this on. If you feel like the bend in the ear wire is too much, you can bend it down just a little bit and try it on again and see how it feels. And also, if you want, you can file this, but I feel like it's pretty good with just a flush cut. I'm not worried about filing it. So now I have to do this one. And again, you want to make sure that you have the same stone on the front of your earring. So the green, that's my little marker there, tells me that's the front. Okay, just like that. Close it shut. These have to be closed a little bit more. Okay, and there we go. So cool. I love these. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Make sure you click the bell button so you get notified when I upload new videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry you've made from my videos on my Facebook page, and follow me on Pinterest. And you can also follow me on Instagram and share pictures of the jewelry you have made from my videos. Thanks for watching.